A very important area of our national life is drug security. So looking at Nigeria's situation in terms of drug security, I observed that Nigeria imports about 70% of the drugs that we consume in this country. I also observed that Nigeria imports 100% of its active pharmaceutical ingredients. These are the ingredients that are used to manufacture drugs if they are going to be manufactured locally. In 2019, the government came up with a program through NAFDAC. They called it 5 plus 5 pathway. So in this program, you get licensed for 5 years, and then you're supposed to show a blueprint where you're collaborating with a local manufacturer, or where you how you intend to set up a manufacturing plant in Nigeria to manufacture that particular drug that you've registered. There are a few checkpoints along the way, but if you get to the ninth year and you cannot show the progress you've made in terms of establishing your production in Nigeria here, you get deregistered. And now that's a very good initiative by the government in 2019. I've gone through NAFDAC's website and seen a few publications in that sense. But then I made a few observations too. In the document itself, it didn't specify if you're going to deregister one product or you're going to deregister the company itself that is doing business in Nigeria. Now, there's a chance a company might be bringing in 10 different drugs. In that situation, if they default in, because the document says if you show cause that you are willing to establish local production or start local production for one of your products, the other ones can be allowed to come in as well. So they are assuming that when you start producing locally, chances are you produce more than one of your drugs here, which makes all the sense. Now, where you default in that, it doesn't then tell us what is going to happen. Will they deregister one and leave the other nine to keep coming in? Or will they deregister the 10? Now, it doesn't also state how government is going to collaborate with these foreign investors to build these factories in Nigeria. Because if you write these laws the way they are, which is absolutely beautiful, wonderful, without the corresponding incentives to make these people come in and feel like they are doing themselves a favor and feel like they are going into business to improve, to grow their businesses. If you write these laws and try to implement certain procedures or processes or pathways, as they call this particular one, you have a responsibility to make these manufacturers feel that this will help their businesses to grow. If they don't feel that this will help their businesses to grow, what will happen is that they will collaborate with their local partner. They will run down the clock for 9 years and do one of two things. Either they walk away from the market, which will leave us in a more precarious position because we don't even have substitutes, and then we end up begging them to come back, or they will simply remove that product, go back to wherever they're coming from, and change the brand name and bring it back and register it as a new product. And I'm sure their Nigerian partners, if they are not willing or if they don't feel like government is partnering with them to achieve this particular objective, that's exactly what they'll do. They'll circumvent this whole pathway thing, and we keep going round this pathway, round, and in 30 years, we discover that we've not made much progress. I don't want this to happen. It's because I observed this now. I'm not saying it's a loophole. I'm saying it's something that government needs to be a bit clearer about. And then we need to pursue this initiative collaboratively. It's not if you don't build a factory in my country, I'll buy your goods from coming in and that's it. If you work that way, if these guys know that we have a seller's market, we have a system where we hardly have local production, a system where we actually depend on them, on their products, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to threaten to walk away. And then we'll ask them to come back and say, oh, that government is punitive now. We want to work with you. We want you to bring in foreign investment. We are willing to do away with this rule. And that's it, a simple change of policy. And then they will be back to square one and they'll carry on with business. But if we do it collaboratively, in a way that they feel they are doing themselves good by coming in here, if we show them that our market is strong, we are going to engage with you in the long run, You are going to sell your products here in the long. We have the population to sustain it. We don't only have that population here, but we have a sub-region in West Africa where we can also market your products. We have a continent in Africa where we can also market your products. If you make Nigeria your manufacturing base, you have the whole of Africa. That's a massive market that we can sell to these foreign investors. They know already. They know that if they are able to manufacture in Nigeria, if we give them a good industrial climate, they will manufacture at cheaper cost than they can even do in their own countries. These are the kind of incentives that we need to sell to them. If we sell this sort of incentives to them, they will come in willingly, collaborate with their local partners, and make this initiative a success. This 5+5 pathway cannot be successfully implemented in the long run if businessmen, if pharmaceutical companies don't feel that is good for their business, if the foreign investors don't feel that is good for their business. It's a lofty program. I absolutely love it. But I'm just saying that if we implement it more collaboratively, so we need to go from the process of writing text and putting in policies to then going to implement these policies collaboratively with the critical stakeholders. The stakeholders here are the foreign companies and their local partners, the Nigerian-based pharmaceutical companies that are willing to partner with these foreign investors to establish these plants in Nigeria. We must make sure we make the labor laws friendly to them. We must make sure we make the industrial climate friendly to them. We must make sure our energy prices are competitive enough for them to succeed in their business. We must make sure that our power system is stable enough, power supply is stable enough for them to produce here. If we do that from 2019 to 2029 to 2039, I can tell you it is very, very possible for us to grow from 30% local manufacturing to 80 to 90 to who knows. If we do that, our economy will be very stable. And we're not talking about something that has not been achieved before. Bangladesh started a similar program. They call it their drug control ordinance. They started that program in 1982, and today Bangladesh produces 98% of their local demand. They meet it. They also export to 151 countries. The key here is collaboration. If the man in Lagos or in Onitsha or wherever his factory is feels that the government is simply running after him and making his life hell and making his business horrible, what do you think he's going to do? He's going to look for any way possible to circumvent that pathway process that you've started. But if you make a Nigerian feel like what he's doing, one, is good for his country, it's also good for his business, of course, he will be more than willing to work collaboratively with NAFDAC, with every federal government agency that is tasked with implementing this particular pathway policy. Drug security is very possible in our country. The machineries have already been put in place to make it happen. I implore every agency of government that is concerned or that is tasked with executing this policy, please be more collaborative. Between 2019 and now, they've talked less and less about this policy. I mean, NAFDAC. We need to get more information about this policy. How is the implementation going? We need to know how people are voluntarily participating, how companies are voluntarily participating, how international investors are participating in the implementation of this pathway. We want to begin to celebrate or publicize companies that have actually attained or have gone through this pathway successfully. Say, for example, if a company has gone from importing drugs to setting up their plants here in Nigeria, NAFDAC should come out in partnership with this local producer to say, we used to import this paracetamol in 2020, or We used to import it from 1998, but today we produce it in Nigeria. This is the volume that we can produce. We are able to meet this amount of our local demand, and this company and that company came together and we made it happen. When you do that, you put it out in international space, in the media space, you have other international companies looking like, okay, oh, Pfizer did this with this Nigerian company. We can also do this. Oh, this company did this with the other Nigerian company. And the government was very supportive. If they find that we have a supportive business environment, they will come. One, they know that we have the market. They are not just sure that we have a very supportive business environment. This is what we need to push or what we need to project for them to see. That it's not just in words, but indeed we are willing to improve on our local drug production. We are willing to improve our local capacity to produce the drugs that we consume. We will not just consume our drugs, we can also export drugs and make foreign exchange in the process. If we are willing to follow the example that Bangladesh has already set for us, I see this program as a huge success. I really pray that this government will continue to pursue this program. It's a lofty one. It's a lofty program. That they look at some of the loopholes, look at some of the weaknesses, look at some of the places that you can make this policy stronger, that you can drive it better. That instead of waiting for somebody 4 years down the line to then ask them what have they done or what they've done, you can actually work with this person collaboratively and set a timeline and set a benchmark, what you want to achieve, an objective. You can work with the producers to set objectives that within 4 years you can collaboratively achieve. Because if you leave somebody and say 4 years time, I'll come and ask you what you've done, when you come, if they have nothing to tell you, they'll simply go and start the cycle all over again with a new product. They will produce Malaquin, and then 9 years later, they have another name that they will register. The same foreigner, the same Nigerian, the same product with a new name, and NAFDAC will approve it. And then they'll carry on the cycle. It becomes a perpetual cycle, and that's not what we want. My take is that this is very possible. My take is that this is very admirable. It's a very good program. If we put effort and make it collaborative, I'm sure this will really, really help to strengthen our economy, strengthen our GDP, strengthen our local economy, strengthen our local currency in the long run. We cannot solve the problems of our nation just at the flip of a switch. But it's with programs like this, targeted programs like this, if we continue to implement them in good faith, with collaboration, provide incentives, provide subsidies, tax holidays, whatever it is, whatever incentive that we need to make local manufacturing attractive, that's what we need to be doing as a government and as a people. I shall leave you to ponder on this. This is Discourse. My name is Azubike. Thanks for watching this video.